You are confined only by the walls you build yourself. Andrew Murphy. Hearing that I'd be going to a jail, which I later found out was the Indianapolis Reentry Educational Facility, or IREF, I began feeling a little anxious. Especially after being told that we'd be being put on the spot and having to re-give speeches that we would have already given on top of in speech class beforehand. Now, I have never been much of a speaker, nor have I found myself to be the biggest extrovert. So I decided to really try to challenge myself by being enrolled in a program where I would be bettering my social skills and working with individuals most similar to my major, being forensic investigative science. On top of being my first semester in college, already anxious about what lay ahead of me for the semester, I couldn't shake off the fact that I would eventually be surrounded by men who had done a long time in prison, not only just for drug use, but some for murder and other felonies. At that point in time, I could not see myself being in such a position to ever feel comfortable enough to relax and not be nervous to speak. However, after being in J101 for a few weeks before going, we learned about what are known as implicit biases, which are our unconscious prejudgments, and we're actually able to identify our individual biases to come to terms that we all have them. We learned that family, peers, and especially the media are all what really influence our judgment on prisoners and the criminal justice system as a whole. What made me really change my viewpoint on the residents at IREF was the third official Toastmasters meeting when Lauren, Zach, and I decided to sit with Greg because at the last meeting, he had given an amazing speech that we were all intrigued by deeply. We all began to connect on a subject that I cannot recall, but it made me realize that we are all human, and these men are not these so to say morbid, grotesque animals that the majority of people make them out to be. These men have lost so much in their lives and have had many of their privileges revoked. They know what it's like to be alone, but that is the problem. They are coming back into society and they need to know that they are not alone. That they can still be looked at like any other person without being criminalized with eyes of ignorant and denaturing glaring. Speaking is what I had figured that these men would not be so great at, given they had been locked away for so long. But I was proven wrong, by a long shot. Just John, Cole, and Greg all blew me away when they all had to stand up in front of everyone and present themselves in a formal, professional manner with their standpoints on the system. As the semester progressed, after being both in speech class and at IREF and giving what seemed like a multitude of speeches, I feel like my communication skills have improved dramatically, and I now know even more about the criminal justice system due to the research involved in preparing previous speeches and having first-hand experience with ex-offenders and their perspective on certain topics. I definitely feel that after leaving IREF, these men will be able to pursue a job and or a career pathway and be able to be successful in the real world, outside of prison walls. And as for us, leaving this semester behind, I think we will all benefit from this by being able to communicate better with the public and be better at understanding of a situation, outside of the walls we had previously created. Personally, I think this has changed me in a way in which I am not quick to judge others until after hearing their story and what they have to personally say. I am definitely not closed-minded and now consider myself very open-minded as this semester is coming to an end. But it marks the beginning to the path of a career of my choice, which is being a forensic pathologist, or in other words, medical examiner. I will most likely be having to testify in court with the evidence I examine, and my communication skills that I've been working on throughout this semester will come into play, as well as internally knowing that I need to make sure that I am 100% positive my findings are accurate and correct. After seeing the aftermath of how prison can swallow a person up and spit them back into a hateful society, locking up someone who is not guilty would surely be what would eat me up. When asked about my experience and why I go to IREF, I spread my knowledge and my encounters in hopes of expanding the minds of those who have yet to let their walls down. Re-entry needs to be more prevalent in society, and those with solemnly non-violent drug charges need treatment, not incarceration. I am so grateful to have been exposed to the true nature of the flawed criminal justice system that indeed does not serve the justice necessary in many cases. From the start of the semester, I was an anxious 19-year-old freshman who in no way was involved or even thought of prisoners and what they have to go through on a daily basis. I have grown in so many ways since the beginning of the semester because of Toastmasters and the amazing, educated professors and advisors I have been fortunate enough to get to know and listen to. Not only was this Bridge and TLC program a good resume builder, but it made me fully connect the dots that I want to pursue the major that I've always had in mind. I want to serve justice to those who need it so desperately, and be able to communicate effectively to get ahead of my colleagues to conquer my dream of being a forensic pathologist. While still not graduating in SPIA, this program has been very beneficial in which when deciding who to vote for, who to befriend, etc., that they need to be able to identify and grasp that we are all human, we all make mistakes, we are all dependable on each other to stay sane, and lastly, that we all deserve a shot at life we want so badly to have. IREF and the residents within it are people, just like you and I, and as of now, my walls have fallen down.